Alright, in this tutorial I want to show how to first create a list and then second how to import. So the first thing we have to do is create our list. We go to create new under mailing list and we'll just call this list 1. From name and from address, it doesn't matter what you put there because you can modify that in the actual message that you create per campaign. If you wanted to use one from name and one from address on all your campaigns, this is what you would do. You just type in John Max from name, and the from address could be John Max at whatever-domain.com. This right here is just a string for VOLO, and it rotates all of the domains. So if you have more than one domain, you want to leave this in. If you have one domain, you can either leave this in or use that domain. It doesn't matter. Now, I usually don't include the header, but this part is very important going to the footer because you have to modify this. And any day now. Okay. So first off, to be CAN-SPAM compliant, you have to have a physical remove. For example, like a PO box, and the default does not have that. You can keep this the same for the for the text version. See errors there, but you definitely want to have a PO box. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. City state, city state zip code. So you definitely want to keep that in there and to be CAN-SPAM compliant, or else you run into legal issues. Same with HTML. This is fine. You just need a text version down there that shows your physical remove, and same with the AOL version. Okay, you can make sure you check all these. And here's some VOLO tags that you can use, like that S domain I showed you before. And there you go, as soon as it loads. These are great to use for randomization and great to use for adding emails. You can add the first name, your last name for customization, etc., etc. Won't get much into that right now. Okay, so once the footer is taken care of, you have that, you want to create the list. Okay, so the list is created. Okay, now the import. You go to recipients, import. Now, two ways of doing this, as mentioned in the previous tutorial. You can either upload to the FTP or upload here. I chose, for the sake of time, to upload here, and I've already uploaded it. And anything under 500 megabytes, you can upload here. Anything over, you have to upload an FTP. And you can upload it as a zip or text or CSV. If you do zip, it'll automatically extract for you. So as you can see, you have the list here. If there are multiple lists and you just want to upload this list, you check this. But since there's not, it's going to check everything. All you have to do is hit import. Okay, here's the important part. Now I don't upload the full data. The reason for that is it gets pretty big and a lot of times is not formatted correctly. A lot of people argue with me on personalization, for example, like using the first name and last name in email, but in my history in using email marketing, I have not found that to help much in terms of ROI and connecting with the audience. So I have just uploaded the email addresses and kept everything else on file. So you have your file name right here and the list name. This is the list you just created, and there it is, list 1. That's the list we want to upload the recipients to. So there's a number, that's how many recipients are going into that list 1, and here are the fields. If you had more than one field, you'd have to define that field. And since each of these is a space, you put, for field delimiter, tab. If there's a comma there, you'd put a comma, and pipe, I'm not sure what that is, but if there's a pipe there, you put a pipe. So for that, we put tab. Field value, here is the email. So you have an example of the email. And here's what you put. You either put email, first name, IP, site, import source. So this is an email right here. So we want to name the field name email. Field type, string, you can leave that as is. I do usually keep the default options for importing, for importing. You can uncheck these, check some of them, don't check some of them. I don't recommend messing around with this. I don't really want to import unsubscribed recipients this time. Don't want to override anything. And I don't want to import bans or removes or blocks. Those are bad email addresses. I don't want them in this list. So I'm going to have all those checked. Import time. You can either import now or at a time you designate. Just make sure that the date is accurate and you do that. I don't use the advanced features, and I think that's everything. So after that, the only thing you have to do is hit import. And it will go. So you can hit refresh, you can see how far along it is. If you go to recipients, import queue, should be the same window. There you go. And as soon as that's done, which we're not going to wait for, another important thing is you want to go to mailing list, edit view. Once it's finished, once you see it's 100% done, you'll see that through the import queue. You want to recount the recipients. Very important, or else the recipients won't show up. Once you recount the recipients, you can go to new message. And yes, as soon as they're recounted, as soon as they're imported, that's where they'll show up, which I will show at another time. Anyways, that's how you import, and that's all for this tutorial.